Time to mix it up, give you something worth listening to in this town on the drive home. And that's exactly what starts today at 3 o'clock here on 95.7 FM, KCMO, and streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app when Fox News Radio's Guy Benson takes over in that 3 to 5 time slot following Ben Shapiro right here on KCMO. Let's get him on. Guy Benson is here on KCMO. Guy, good morning. Welcome to Kansas City and look forward to listening today at 3.
Well, Pete, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have our show joining your great lineup. I'm so excited to be broadcasting to your audience. And the fact that it's starting today is extra special, and we're stoked for it, and we're just very grateful as well.
Well, I know you've been doing very well in various markets and cities around the country where your show has been on the air now for a few years. But for people that, maybe seen you on TV, they've seen your Fox News appearances, the radio show, how do you explain it to people? What do you tell them in terms of what you're going to bring to the show that's different in things you can do more long form that you just can't do on television hits?
Yeah, this is why I love radio so much, because with TV, and TV is a great medium, and I love being a member of the Fox News family, and I'll be on Outnumbered today, 11 a.m. Central Time on Fox News Channel, co-hosting. But on TV, it's a different skill set. It's a different time box. If you want to make a point, usually at the absolute outer limit, you can speak for something like, 70 or 80 seconds. That's about as long as you'll ever get. And often it's much shorter than that. Whereas with radio, there's real time to unpack some thoughts, not to think about, okay, here's a big issue. Here's a big debate. What is my top single point, or maybe two? It can be, what are my top 6 or 7 points to make? And then you can walk through them. And I just think that there's a thoroughness to it, which is really enjoyable. There's also an intimacy to the radio format, as you know, as your audience knows. You get to sort of know the cast of characters, not just me on the show, but we've got other people who generally are behind the scenes, but we tend to bring them on there, usually on a daily basis, and we have fun. So, look, it's a serious show. It's a center-right political show featuring really good guests, top lawmakers and public officials, names that everyone who watches Fox knows very well. We have incredible access to all of our colleagues here. We occasionally take calls. I'll do monologues, lots of audio news of the day, but we also mix it up. We try to have a little bit of fun as well, particularly in the last hour of the show, which we call the happy hour. We'll do a little sports here or there, pop culture, just to leaven things up. But especially, as you'd imagine, in the election season, it is, all cylinders firing ahead of the 5th of November.
Yeah, absolutely. And just make sure you give a brief shout out to the Royals and the Chiefs, both playing tonight. You've got the Royals in New York against the Yankees. The Chiefs are home for Monday Night Football. So, there's plenty going on in this town as well, as you just noted.
Well, as your audience will discover tonight on the show, in our final hour, I will be at the Yankees-Royals game in the Bronx tonight. I'll be attending. And I will not mention who I'm rooting for, because I'm trying to ingratiate myself with your audience. People might draw their own conclusions, but, we shall see. And it's funny because my dad was telling me I'm young enough that I don't remember the days of the really intense Yankees-Royals rivalry. I mean, brawls and a lot of bad blood. That was before my time, but I've been sort of doing some YouTube research on it, and it's like, oh, yeah, these teams hated each other back in the day. And so it's been a very fun postseason so far, and may the best team win.
Well, if you're going to be there, if you're basically telling us you're going to be there tonight in a Yankees hat, at least find George Brett, take a selfie with him, because that will ingratiate you to all of Kansas City.
Oh, I would love that.
Please.
I would love that. And when I shake his hand, hopefully he doesn't have any pine tar in his hand.
Well, he is obviously a staple here in town. And, of course, we're looking forward to having the Guy Benson Show launching at 3 o'clock today on KCMO Talk Radio. You mentioned your guests, obviously a lot of the faces that we see on Fox News on a regular basis, and also some of the big political makers in this country. Who are some of those guests that have been recently on the show that we can expect to hear from on the show? Because when we were looking at the show, I said, well, that's something that just makes sense for our audience based on the fact that we are a Fox affiliate. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of the Fox folks on, whether it's Harris Faulkner, who loves Kansas City, Charlie Gasparino. A lot of these folks are willing to come on here. But hearing them on with you on a regular basis, who are some of those other voices that people will hear here on KCMO?
Yeah, I mean, it spans the gamut from people like Bill Hemmer and Dana Perino to Martha McCallum. Brett Baer is a regular on the show. We love having Britt Hume here as well. Shannon Bream, who just had that exclusive with Tim Walz yesterday on Fox News Sunday. Basically, you name it, they're here. Some of my best friends at the network, just, personally, people like Kennedy and Kat Timp from the Gutfeld Show, Mary Catherine Ham, probably my best friend. They're on the show all the time. And then, we just run through a ton of members of Congress, senators, governors. We just had Governor Youngkin of Virginia on recently. We love having Governor Kemp on this program. From Georgia, obviously his state is crucial. We had Senator Cruz of Texas the other day. We were doing the show from Houston. So he joined us. He's in a pretty tight race down in that obviously must-win seat for the Republicans if they want to take the Senate back, which I think they have a good chance of doing. So, that's just a handful of examples. We'll be a little October 7th heavy today for all the obvious reasons. I spent some time in Israel earlier this year, went down to that kibbutz, or one of them that was just so devastated near the Gaza border, also went up to the north and came back with the lesson for my audience and the message for my audience. Yes, there's a lot of attention down, of course, near Gaza, and based on what happened with Hamas and what is continuing to happen there. But they brought us up to the north, and we were in one of these ghost towns where, 70, 80,000 Israelis have abandoned their homes. They've been forced out because of the rocket fire coming from Hezbollah. And I said, it's become a much bigger story. And so it has. And the leadership of Hezbollah has just been completely decapitated by the Israelis in recent days. And then, of course, just the fallout and the very disturbing scenes playing out on our campuses, in our streets. We're going to see more of that today, I think, in ways that will, again, turn a lot of people's stomachs because, whether you are deeply plugged in to the Israel issue or not, I am. These are people who clearly hate Western civilization and in many cases hate our country. And when you see From the River to the Sea chanted by a lot of people who will also effectively be willing to chant things like Death to America, or there was a concert recently raising money for Palestinians in the UN in Seattle where a famous rapper just said bleep America, and it got a huge cheer from that audience in our country. It's sort of a canary coal mine warning bell moment, I think, for Western civilization and America. It's a much bigger issue than just Israel, which is a massive story unto itself.
Guy Benson, Fox News. The show is launching today at 3 o'clock. Guy, I know we'll get plenty of insights over the next 29 days until November 5, but as you sit here right now with about 4 weeks to go until the election, what will this race between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris ultimately come down to?
Well, look, we talk about this virtually every day, and one of the themes, because I pay attention to the polling pretty closely, understanding that it's, flawed, and you kind of have to squint and figure out, okay, how do these pieces fit together given, the history of polling, especially in the last couple of cycles. I think, I'll put it this way, I feel like if I were on the Trump campaign, what would keep me up at night worried is the ground game, the ballot operations. The Democrats have that down to a T. It's a machine. Their base, their people vote like it's religion. And it's unclear if the Republicans have closed that gap. They say that they have to an extent. The proof will be in the pudding one way or the other. If I were on the Harris campaign, and what would keep me up at night in their shoes, concerned and anxious, is Donald Trump today is polling significantly better than he did at this point in either 2016 or 2020. Compared to the Hillary and the Biden races, you look at the snapshots in time. For example, in mid-October 2016, Hillary Clinton, the Real Clear Politics average nationally, had her up 7 points. In mid-October 4 years ago, the national average at Real Clear Politics had Joe Biden up 10 points. Now, he won by a little over 4 points. She won the national vote by 2 points, of course, lost the Electoral College. It's a 2-point race nationally right now, and even closer in the battlegrounds with Trump leading in a number of them. If we see even close to the polling miss that we have the last 2 times Donald Trump was on the ballot, he will win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there. Guy Benson, listen today, launching on KCMO in Kansas City, 3 o'clock, 3 to 5 for your drive home. The Guy Benson Show, part of the Fox News radio family. Guy, enjoy the game tonight. Go Royals. I know you don't feel that way, but go Royals. We appreciate you, my friend, and have a great day. By the way, Guy has the best producer in the business in Christine, who I know from my time there. So, Guy, keep up the great work. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Kansas City. And, yeah, people will definitely get to know Christina as they listen to the show. We have a lot of fun with her.
She's fantastic. All right, Guy, we'll listen at 3 o'clock. Have a great day, man.
Appreciate it. You too.
All right, Guy Benson on KCMO Talk Radio.